and welcome back to the New York Jets franchise rebuild. Here today will be the mid-season report. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. To anyone who is new here and you have never seen one of my videos, what I usually do about halfway through the season, right around week 8, I do a mid-season report where I go over the draft, any sort of potential trades, and any sort of re-signings and my current state of the season. It's about a 20-minute rant of me just talking about the team. If you are new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It definitely does help me out. And don't forget to like and leave a comment down below what you guys thought of all the moves that I made today. So where should we start? I think where we should start is really with the state of this roster. And when we look at this roster right now, and we're 4-3 right now, we're coming off of a big win last week versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Overall, I think we're in a fairly good spot to be competitive this season. But overall, what I'm looking to do today is figure out the quarterback position. As you guys know, Zach Wilson has been benched, and I think we should be considering trading him. And we have a few options. We can look to the draft, or we can look into the current quarterback landscape and decide which angle we should take it from. As well as, I think that right now, if we were going to trade away any players on this current roster, I really don't see us making any sort of moves on the defensive side of the ball in terms of trading anyone away. Offensively, maybe we consider trading away Josh Myers or Denzel Mims, two players that really don't see the field that much and who can be quality starters on other rosters. But right now, I think in terms of trades, if we are going to make one, it will most likely be for a quarterback. Now, I have some teams written down, some players that I'm considering, but let's go through the draft and really walk you guys through right now some current prospects that I'm thinking about. So as we look at this current draft class, and I believe this is either the first or second time you guys are actually seeing what this class is all about. And in my opinion, we have a very interesting top 5, a wide receiver, corner, quarterback, a defensive end, and defensive tackle. So in terms of our needs, I mean, we don't really need a defensive tackle or a defensive end, maybe a wide receiver, maybe a corner, but Mason here, I mean, he's right now the only quarterback. There is 2 others that are projected first, second round, but Mason here is the only quarterback that is projected to be a top 5, which kind of leads me to believe that he is the only quarterback in this class that might be ready to start day 1. And ultimately, that's the decision in terms of the quarterback position, that if we're going to make any sort of move, you know, I think we need to get a quarterback that's ready to play now and ready to win. And while looking through all the quarterbacks, the only quarterback that I found was Owen Stafford here, who I look at least from just his overall skill level, and really think that, you know, he might be a quality backup quarterback. I don't have a ton of information on him, but that deep accuracy definitely intrigues me. But let's go through my favorites, because there are a few players that I have written down right now that I do really like, and some of them are you know, day 3 picks. I haven't taken a super deep dive into this, but you know, Don Duck here, you know, he's 5'9", you know, he has beat catching, 21 years old, you know, he has great to elite speed. In my opinion, as an athlete, he's off the charts, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of like a next wide receiver on this roster. And overall, you see that he has, at least right now, good hands. Hopefully, when we get the ability to get more information from players, you know, Don here will be one of them I'm looking to at least get more information of. But overall, this draft class seems to me at least to have more depth at the wide receiver position, because there's so many wide receivers that are projected in the first round. There's 12 of them. And then defensive tackle here. Yet again, a lot of top tier talent here, all projected, 6 projections in the 2nd to 3rd round here. Not really towards our need, but just wanted to point that out to you guys. Right now, my current thought with franchise mode and their drafting, they gotta really change up the percentages. I think they gotta give us more ways to see more prospects. I don't know. They gotta do something with this. That's for another topic for another day. So with the quarterback situation not being so strong in this year's draft class, who should we target? And there's 2 names right now that, while I look around the league and I basically say to myself, yep, these are the 2 guys that I would consider going after. So let's start with the second out of the 2. I won't start with my favorite. But Devontae Ross here, 23 years old. He's in his 2nd year. They'll both be in their 2nd year. 75 overall, star dev. You know, he's an improviser, scrambler type of quarterback. You know, he has the same type of throw power as Daniel Jones. He has a little bit of less deep and a little bit less medium, but he has very good short accuracy. And then as an overall athlete, he can move around. Obviously, my overall concern with him is that 76 injury, but it's really 72 injury. And overall, he does not have the complete set at the accuracies. You know, he does need development, and Devontae here, he could become good, he might not be, I don't know just yet. Another notable thing to point out here is that he was drafted in the early 2nd round. So something else to note, that we wouldn't have a 5th-year option, that we would only have a few years with Devontae here. The other quarterback that I would be interested in, who is my favorite here, is Stephen James here. Now, yes, he's 25 years old, 76 overall. Also a scrambler, improviser type of quarterback, but he has a better throw accuracy or throw power. His accuracies across the board are more well-rounded. He doesn't have that one that's elite or very good like Devontae does. And from an athletic standpoint, I would say he's about the same, maybe a bit less. But that injury doesn't concern me. Even if it's an 88, it's better than a 72. As well as Steven here was drafted in the 1st round. He was drafted with the 29th overall pick, late 1st round. So the reason I like him is because we have a 5th-year option that, you know, he'll be on this team for this season with Daniel, and then maybe the next 2 years he starts, we give him the 5th-year option, and we'll see how good he can become. I think going after James is the best option for us, giving pretty much trading quarterbacks and maybe draft picks as well. And, you know, because they do have Ryan Tannehill, who's 35 years old, so trading Zach Wilson for Stephen James, I think it does make logical sense. So we're going to try to make a move with the Titans. We'll see if it works. Don't know if it will, but I'll show you guys if it does. And we have a deal done here today. We are trading away Zach Wilson and a 3rd round draft pick to acquire Stephen James, Doug Dupree, and a 4th round draft pick. Now, the Tennessee Titans were not in a great cap situation here, and their left outside linebacker position with Doug Dupree, they had a better younger prospect on their roster, and I'll show you guys him. And it saves them about $17 million. So we're pretty much just taking on his contract here, but yeah, they have Rudolph here, who is about the same overall, has a little bit of good finesse here. It gives him pretty much the ability to now start for them, and we now acquire pretty much a 4th round pick. We're trading, pretty much going back in the draft, and we're getting ourselves a nice young quarterback here. So now, yes, we do have Bug Dupree on this roster, who's making a lot of money on this team. I highly doubt that I want to keep him on this team. You know, I know he's an okay pass rusher, but I don't think pass rusher is really a need. We have a lot of quality depth already. So Bug Dupree will most likely be in another little trade that I will do to try to get a draft pick. But of course, getting Steven James on this roster, coming over from the Titans. I don't know if he will wear number 10, but we get the guy that I wanted. I think it was a fair trade. We're pretty much just trading back in this current draft class and acquiring an extra 4th round pick. So these are right now the current draft picks. We won't have a 3rd unless we make another trade to get one, but we'll have 2 4ths, 2 6s, and obviously our 1st and 2nd round draft picks. So overall, happy with this trade. I think we're going to make a couple other small moves, probably moving off of Doug Dupree. We'll probably end up trying to move off of, we might move off of Denzel Mims and Josh Myers. I don't know just yet, but those are right now kind of the 3 names on the chopping block for us. And then we decided to move off of Doug Dupree, sending him to the Jacksonville Jaguars for their 2 seasons down the line, 5th round draft pick. Pretty much, I didn't want to keep Doug on the $17 million cap hit. We'll send him to the Jags. The Jags needed another pass rusher. As I looked around the league, they do need one. And we'll get a late round draft pick, a couple drafts down the line. I think that this is a fair trade for us. Overall, Doug was just basically part of a means to an end to get Steven James here. So I don't think we're going to make any more trades during this midseason report here. Well, first of all, let me know what you guys thought about the trade for Steven James here. Are you guys excited to have now a new young quarterback on this roster? Are you guys excited to see how he will perform here as a New York Jet? You think I paid too much? We got too little? Was it fair? Whatever. But what does that mean for this season? I believe that we should stick with Daniel Jones for the remaining of this season. We'll give him the rest of this year, or until we are pretty much out of the postseason, and then we'll go to James and see what he can do. I think Jones right now gives us the best chance to win. I do want us to go out there and attempt to go for a Super Bowl. Now, just because I'm saying that doesn't mean that I think we're going to get there. I think that this roster is good. I don't know if they're great. I think with James on this roster, it gives us a potential future piece to become great. But for now, Jones will continue being the starter. I don't think we're going to make any more moves in terms of trading players. I really like our young offensive line, our playmakers at wide receiver and tight end, and then defensively, I do like the team where it's at. I think Stockhouse would be the starter technically, but overall, I don't think that we need to make any more moves. I mean, I could get aggressive and go after a couple players that I do have written down. I just don't think that right now, the players that I do have written down, that we really do need to go after. I think we are good. We're 4-3 right now, 2nd place in this division. We just now have to go out there with this roster and prove it. Speaking of this current roster, let's actually look at some of our future players that we do have to re-sign over the next 2 seasons. So, when we look at our current free agents that we need to make decisions on, I don't see too many that I'm going to want to make. Now, yes, Daniel right now, 3 years, $32 million. I would be willing to do this contract with him just because of the fact that he's not going to be paid a lot. He's pretty much a high-paid backup quarterback, and we know we can win with him. For now, I'm not going to make any sort of negotiations with Daniel. Worst case scenario, we let him test free agency. We bring him back on another 1 to 2 year contract, and that's it. Out of the rest of these potential free agents, I mean, Jalen Smith is definitely a player that I would like to bring back. I do want to see how much regression does hit him. The 2 year, $7 million contract isn't too bad for him. And then the only other player would probably be Devin McKnight. Other than McKnight, I don't see myself trying to bring too many players of these guys back. Overall, these guys are all just kind of backups on this team. But let's look at next year and see what contracts that we're going to have to make next season, because overall that's going to determine how aggressive we're going to have to be when we do hit free agency. And we do have a couple notable names. We obviously have to decide on Dalvin Tomlinson again. We have Michael Carter, who's been our starting running back. What do we do with him? Elijah Van Tucker, his contract is up, but most likely he has the 5th-year option, so we'll probably end up picking that up. Elijah Moore right now, and then Larrbearxd. Everyone else is either quality depth or, starters that we potentially could replace. So right now I would say Larrbearxd, Elijah Moore, and Michael Carter would be and Tomlinson would be the big 4 that we would have to decide on next season. Now, thankfully, we have, going into the next offseason, I'm not going to show you guys to go back and forth on multiple different screens, but we have right around $80 million to work with. So we have cap space that when we want to go out there and make any sort of big moves this free agency, we can. We can make them either short-term or long-term. And the main reason for that is because we don't have a ton of players that we're paying. I mean, we're paying Adante Jackson, John Franklin Myers, Brandon Cooks, and Quinton Williams. And then, the rest of these players, once we get to Michael Hampton, are pretty much drafted players. I mean, Jack Huntland's 3-year, $10 million per year contract isn't too bad. There's not too many big contracts on this roster. So it gives us this flexibility. And now we have a quarterback that's going to be on this roster for the next 3 years. That's not going to be making a ton of money. And we have a 5th-year option with him. So then whatever we do decide to do at the quarterback spot, we're pretty much secured in terms of cap space. So I really like this move. James gives us the ability to be extremely flexible and extremely aggressive over these next few seasons to try to go out there and win a championship. So I hope you guys definitely enjoyed today's episode. I know there was, this big trade and, really mostly thinking about the future with this team. But I do hope you guys did enjoy. We got hopefully our quarterback for the future, which I'm extremely excited about. I do stream these games. The next games will be streamed on Twitch at twitch.tv/Larrbearxd. On Tuesday the 12th, we're going to go through the 2 New England games and then the Baltimore Raven game. So hopefully you guys can come by, drop a follow, say hi, and hang out with me for a little bit. It's usually a good time. It's all live commentary, so if you have homework to do and you just want to hang out, you can. But with that, guys, I'll see you in the next one.